Hey guys, welcome back to the Christ Through Me podcast. My name is Christina, your host, and today is going to be a little topic of faith. Um, to start off, I'm actually going to read what actually is faith in regards to the biblical version. So it's in Hebrews 11:1. It says, "Faith is confidence in what we hope for and assurance about what we do not see." So faith basically is an intense form of trust, and people's relationship with God has operated on the basis of faith. Time and time again, all throughout the Bible, salvation is found in the same way, trusting God's promises by faith and then allowing God's commands. Hebrews 11 looks at faith through the lens of the stories of people who live their lives by faith in God. Faith is confidence in what we hope for and assurance about what we do not see. And these biblical characters were commended for having such faith, understanding that faith was necessary to please God. In faith, Abel offered a costly sacrifice. Enoch lived in a way that pleased God. Noah obeyed divine warnings and built a giant ark, having never seen a drop of rain. Abraham left his hometown of Ur and went out, not knowing where God was leading. Sarah bore Isaac in her old age, and the stories go on and on. So this is what it says about faith in the Bible. Now, this Bible is actually the Jesus Bible, and it's the NIV translation. In my terms, having faith in God is really trying to trust Him with everything you've got. And it is a struggle. That's first thing is first. It's a struggle. Faith in my terms is, dealing with struggles in my life, but relying on God to have it all in control and to have it in His hands. Now, it really isn't easy to do. Most days, my faith diminishes because of the struggles that I go through. And the thing with a lot of people actually is their faith diminishes because they have the their reality, and they don't really look towards God as much when it comes to dealing with situations. They try to deal with it on their own, and their faith diminishes in God because of that. Because you have people kind of always asking like, oh, why is this happening to me? Why, if God is so good, why do bad things happen to good people, right? And I was in that boat as well, where I was asking myself like, if God is so good, why are people struggling in the world? And then it came to the conclusion that God told me was like, there's good and evil, and you can't have faith in God without going through something that will break you down to begin with. Because if you're not struggling, then there won't even be any reason to have faith. And faith is really having that trust in God that He's going to pull you through no matter what your circumstances are. And I learned faith through health issues. I'm going to be honest, very raw here. My health issues will be talked about in another episode, but I learned faith through struggling with my health and, going to doctors and always hearing the worst of the situation. So I turned to God. I turned to God during that time, and I was always saying like, please God, just take care of me. I know you only want the best for me. You have plans to prosper me and to, kind of put me further in life. And there were times where I didn't see myself getting better. And there are times still to this day that I don't see myself getting better. But to trust in God that he's going to heal me and to have my life in control, it's a hassle, but it's not impossible, because there's some days where it's like I could be feeling the worst, but just that little bit of faith that I have that God is trying to work something in me through my issues, through my situation, it kind of sparks that little happiness in a way. I receive, peace through my struggles when I have that faith with God. And it's not always easy, like I mentioned. It took me a while to really have that faith with God. And to this day, I don't have like a strong amount of faith either. But God can work with just a little bit of faith. And I even heard it in another podcast that I was watching this week, where you could have like the faith the size of a peanut, but that is what God can work with in your life. The minute you have just a bit of faith, God will do wonders. God will work with that, and it'll be like, well, as long as you trust me in the littlest bit of way, I will work wonders in your life. And that's what happened to me at the start of my journey, where, I went from someone who didn't have faith at all to someone who's like, if something will happen to me. And I'm like, God, you've got this. I trust you, And of course there's struggles, there's hard times. And God, he's a father where he doesn't want you to hide your emotions. He wants you to come cry to him and be like, Father, help me with this. And he will. It takes time, of course. It doesn't happen in a day. But he will. He will work things out. And even though you don't see the situation changing in your reality, it's changing spiritually. I found myself where it's like, I continue to go to doctor's offices and there's, still things that are continuously wrong with me. But spiritually, my mindset has changed. Sometimes, I would hear things from the doctors and I'll be like, in my head, I'm like, okay, well, it's fine. My father's got me. And he really does. And sometimes that mindset can really switch up on your situation, because it's almost as if, it's almost as if like I mentioned in my introduction, like you're smiling in the middle of chaos. And that's what faith feels like. Faith gives you that immense amount of peace, because you know that your life is in good hands. And that's kind of how like I said, I found out about faith, was through my health issues. And I remember I was struggling a lot with the concept of faith over fear. And I was fearful of a lot of things. I was fearful of the unknown. I was fearful of the declination of my health. I was fearful of, struggles that I was going through that I didn't see the end to, or the light to. And then I remember one day my pastor actually told me, while I was at Bible study, and once it finished, I talked with him. And he said to me, like, God can't work with you if you don't have at least a bit of faith in him. And it changed my whole perspective. And it was actually around the time where I took a step back from the Bible study, as I mentioned in my intro. And that was kind of like, I didn't know what to focus on as much. And I felt like there was things that were just starting to get worse and worse in my reality, that I was not listening to God properly, and I was not putting my full trust in him, where he was like trying to come out to me, like God was trying to be saying, child, just give up your problems to me, leave them to me, and just trust me, just have faith. And I honestly heard him clear at the end of 2023. Well, at least towards the end of it, I think it was the month of August, September. And that's where I heard God clearly saying, you need to have faith. You need to trust me. And my worries all of a sudden went away about a lot of things. And of course, there's slip ups. There's slip ups sometimes where it's like I'm trying to deal with a situation and I feel very overwhelmed, or I feel like I'm anxious about it, or I'm struggling. And I'm like, the old me would be like, this is never going to end. This is not going to get better. But the new me, the transformed me, I'm like, you know what, God, take it. Just take this. Do what you want with it. Whether it takes a bit of time to deal with the situation, just deal with it. And I've seen my life turn upside down. And even though in my reality, it's a lot of the things had remained the same. And to other people, they would be like, oh, but you're actually like, you're actually going through something right now. And I would tell them, I'm like, not really. Not really. I mean, I'm not scared. I'm not scared of the things that have been brought up to me as much as I used to be scared. And that is all because of faith. Now, there's different types of faith. There's religious faith where a lot of people would, they kind of just were brought up to believe a certain way and think a certain way. And like I mentioned in my introduction, it's, a journey with God is really just deconstructing a whole belief system. And part of that belief system was my faith. Because faith is actually very spiritual, guys. Faith is just looking towards God and nothing else. And I always thought like, oh, I have to put my trust in a leader, or I have to put my trust into someone that's higher than me. But what I really need to put my trust in is God. It really is God. And just knowing that He has the power to just do anything in my life, to change one situation to another, make miracles. You guys, you know how many miracles God has done? And it's incredible. I haven't yet experienced miracles from God. At least not that I know of, not that I'm aware of. Because before my journey with God, I was not aware of certain things in my life that God actually did. And actually in my transformation period right now, He's actually showing me a lot of times where He was there for me, where He did pull me through of the trenches. And, one of the example is what I had said in my introduction, where, He came to me when I was truly breaking down, where I was at my breaking point, and He pulled me out of that. And, looking back at it, you think like, okay, He just saved me, he sent someone to me to change my life around. But no, that was having that little bit of faith that I had at that time, where I'm like, I need you to do something in my life right now. And He did. And I feel like that was a mini miracle for me. That was a miracle in my perspective, because I was really going through it. And, who knows what He's going to do now in my life. There are things that I prayed for to Him that, of course, have yet to come about. And, the thing about prayers is that people think that when you pray to God, that things that you prayed about will happen right away. And that's not that's not the truth of it at all. Firstly, you have to have faith in every prayer that you pray to Him. And you have to have trust in God that He will pull you through those situations in given time. Because we are truly on God's time. We're not on our time. And that's a lot of that's what actually happens with people's faith, is that it diminishes because they expect things to be done right away. And faith is, you can't see faith, right? It's not on a timeline. It's on God's time. So when you put trust in God to get you out of specific situations, it's on his time. It's when he is going to give it to you. And sometimes the things that God will put you through shapes you in the person that you're supposed to become. And he will also use your situations, your testimonies to help others. And I've seen that in real form, where it's like, I struggle with health issues, and I actually help people that have health issues. They come to me for advice. And I'm like, but how can you be coming to me for advice if my situation is like, in the trenches right now? And, people will come to me and be like, you just know how to talk to me. You just know how to be on the same level. And it's true that it's God using me to use my testimony to help others. And the minute I realized that, the minute that clicked in my mind, I took that as, and I took it as an opportunity to really just stop complaining about what I'm going through and put it to work. Kind of reverse it and be like, okay, it's a bad situation, but let's turn it into a good situation. Let's help others with it. And all while I was doing that, I was putting my trust in God of wherever he was taking me with this journey. So whatever he was trying to do to me personally and spiritually, and whatever he was trying to do to others through me, he was trying to make me a vessel. He still is trying to make me a vessel. And I noticed that as my faith was kind of not upgrading, but like, how would I say, forwarding, expanding, I guess. My faith was expanding. Sorry, guys, I don't know the word for it, but that's what it is. And like I said before, faith is very spiritual. And what people don't understand is that I had mentioned in my previous episode, there's the reality of this world and the reality of your struggles, and then there's the truth. And the truth is not what your reality is, to be honest. The reality is of this world, and it's what you are seeing with your eyes. So you are looking at your situation head on, and you're seeing the worst of it. But the truth is all spiritual. The truth is with God. And the truth is that God will lead you out of any situation. And even if he's not doing it at that time, it's because he's transforming you. He's doing something in you with that situation that you are struggling with. He is making you learn from it. He's making you transform from it. Or he's using you as a vessel for others that are possibly going through the same thing. And it's powerful, guys. This is so powerful. It's incredible what the Father really does with us. And I've never looked at it from the perspective that I looked at it now. I really didn't. My faith really diminished when I was younger. And there are some times now that it's still very rocky. There's some days I could have such a high level of faith, and there's some days I can have a very low level of faith. And like I said, time and time again, it's because of the health issues. And it always happens during that time where it's like, I'm trusting God with all I have. And then I go to a doctor and they're telling me some type of news, and that faith just goes down. And it's because I'm looking at what's in front of me. I'm looking at what this person is telling me. And I'm taking in that information and I'm getting scared of it. I'm getting anxious of it. And that's the games of the enemy, guys. That's the games of the enemy. The enemy wants to put that in your head and be like, well, this is the reality of your situation. And it may be. the reality of your situation, but it's not the truth, guys. It's not the truth. And the minute I started, I would go home after my faith would diminish. Let's say maybe 2, 3 days later, I would talk to God. I cried out for like those 3 days. And then I would talk to God and I'll be like, you know what, God? I don't know what just happened these past 3 days, but I'm starting to trust you again. I'm starting to get, I'm starting to get back on the level again. Because sometimes I would just check myself and I'll be like, you know what? What am I worrying about? What am I worrying about what a doctor is saying to me? Or, someone out like financial wise or any kind of situation? What am I worrying about what they're telling me? Why am I not worrying about what God is telling me? And that's when I would check myself and be like, you know what? God, my ears are open to you. Tell me what I need to do. Tell me what I need to think. Tell me what is going to happen with the situation. And sometimes, guys, he doesn't answer. He doesn't answer and it's silent. But he will give you signs. He will lead you the way. And I've seen that happen time and time again with myself and with other people actually. With other people, and it's not my story to tell, but there's so many people that I encountered, especially with my Bible study group. I would talk with them and they'll be like, this is what happened to me, or this what happened to me, this what happened to me. I'm like, whoa, like God got you out of that. God brought you here. And it happened, where I mentioned the last episode with my friend Lindsay, where she was going through a tough time and she didn't think God was with her. But God is. Whether you acknowledge it or not, God is with you guys. God is omnipresent. He is everywhere. And he will be there through your toughest times. And it's almost it's almost with that saying in the little footprint in the sand card, where he is that one pair of footprints when you are at your lowest, because he is carrying you. He is carrying you through it. And it's crazy because I decided to do the topic today on faith, and God led me to it by the footprints in the sand card. And I remember I was just at the beginning of this week, I was like asking myself, like, okay, what topic am I going to talk about today? And I was asking God, I'm like, guide me to what I'm supposed to be talking about. And I was working the other day. I think it was Wednesday or Thursday. I was working and I saw the footprints in the sand card. It was actually on the wall at my work in the store, because I work in retail. It was in the store, it was on the wall, stapled there. And for some reason, I went in the back and I read it. I'm like, wow, okay. This is what I'm going to do my podcast. This is what I'm going to do my topic on. It's faith. And God listens. God hears you every single day, guys. No matter what you say to him, you best believe he's gonna make it through. And if he doesn't, it's because he has better plans for you. And that's what a lot of people don't understand when it comes to faith, is that people think that their situation is supposed to automatically change because God is good. Yes, God is good. God is magnificent. He is great. But it's not that he is going to change your situation right away. Like I said, it could be something that you need to learn from, transform from. And there are times where he will put you through the fire, guys. He will put you through the fire, but he won't let you burn. He will put you through things that you would be like, why, God? Why am I going through this? And you will be mad at him. There will be times you will probably be like, God, if you are so good, why are you doing this to me? And he will tell you, child, you need to go through this. You need to transform. You need to trust me. Because you can't have faith if you're all happy all the time. You're the only way you're gonna learn faith is if you are really, really getting pressed down there and being like, okay, God, I put my trust in you. Please change my situation. And he will. He will. So it's crazy how the mind plays a big part in your faith. And if you don't have a clear mind on your journey with God, if you have things corrupting your mind, like last episode I was saying, the music was corrupting my mind a lot, and it was making me do things that I wasn't even aware of. It was not properly leading me toward God. It was leading me towards things of this world. And because I was of this world, I was lukewarm. I was very, very I was very cloudy. My mind was very cloudy. And my faith was always up and down. And sometimes it diminished. And sometimes I was like, you know what? Instead of God having this, I'll have this. I'll deal with it. And guys, God put me in my place, and God was like, you can't deal with this. You cannot deal with this by yourself. You need me. And it's true. I needed God, and I still do. I will always need God. And like I said before, is that even if we are unaware that He is there, He is always there. He is always helping us. He is always guiding us. That little voice in your head that you think it's your intuition, guys, that's God. If it's leading you to greatness, if it's leading you to kindness and goodness, and if it's leading you closer to Him as well, it's Him. It's God. It's the Father talking to you and be like, child, I'm here. And it's so powerful, guys. It's so powerful. And it's something that I love learning still. I'm still in the root of learning it all, but it's such an incredible thing to trust in the Father and build my relationship with Him. And it's same for you guys. You guys can build your relationship with God just based on faith, just based on your trust in Him, and trusting Him with all you have. Trusting Him that He's going to pull you out of anything you're facing with. Anything you're facing with, that did not make sense, guys. Anything you're dealing with. It's truly magnificent what He can do with us, or how He can use us. And it all starts with faith. It all starts with having that little bit of trust in Him to guide us and to lead us to greatness. And it's the same thing, with this podcast, with what I'm doing. I don't know where it's going to lead me, but I'm trusting God with this. And before I even started this, I remember having a lot of spiritual warfare where I was like, the enemy was trying to tell me, like, why are you doing this? This is not for you. You are not meant to be on the internet. You are not meant to be put out there. And then God came to me, and I remember I was actually really struggling to start this podcast, and I was struggling to even order the equipment for it. And God was like, no, do this. This is meant for you. Trust me. Just follow me. Keep your eyes on me. And that's the most important thing during faith. You gotta keep your eyes on Him. You gotta keep your eyes on God. You gotta keep your eyes on Jesus. And just follow Him. And it's a story of where, in the Bible, where Peter saw Jesus in the middle of the storm, walking on water. And Jesus said, come to me, come. And then while Peter was fixated, his eyes were fixated on Jesus, he was walking on water, guys. Peter was walking on water. The only time that he fell in the water was because he took his eyes off of Jesus. And that guys is so powerful. And even though he took his eyes off Jesus, Jesus went to save Peter from drowning. And that's exactly the spiritual definition of faith. You got to keep your eyes on God. You got to keep your eyes on Jesus. And if you take your eyes off of him, that's where things start to go wrong. But if you keep your eyes on him, no matter the obstacles in the way, he will pull you out of it. He will save you from any obstacle that will come your way. And guys, it's a journey. It is. It's a true and great journey, actually. But I'm saying great, but sometimes it could be very chaotic. It could be very, very chaotic. But trust me, guys. Trust God. Trust God. Trust God when he says, I will not let you drown. He's got you, guys. So this is me, guys. This is Christina. I'm talking to you guys directly and saying from me to you, trust God. Trust God. Trust Jesus. Just put your faith in him. No matter what your circumstances are, I know many of you are struggling. All of us are struggling. No matter what the situations are, believe that God is good. Believe that he will provide everything you need. Believe that he will take you out of the trenches. And he has so many good things prepared for you, prepared for all of us. And we just need to trust that there is good. And I know it's scary times in the world. I know there's a lot going on in this world. And people are even questioning, where is God? But don't think for a second that God's not working. He is working. It just takes time. It does. And, you know, sometimes when you live in a world where there is a lot of evil, there is a lot of bad, you can't distinguish. But you can't distinguish between the two. But you know when it's God. You know when it's him. And when he is going to do those miracles, he will do it. He will come full force with those miracles. Trust me. So thank you guys for watching today's episode. It's me, your host, Christina. And of course, please like, comment, and subscribe. And feel free to comment any of your journeys, any of your experiences with your own faith, of, you know, maybe issues with, you know, trusting God. Sometimes, you know, there is troubles trusting God. It's not rainbows and roses, you know, it's hard to trust God, especially when it comes to you focusing on your reality, on your situations, you know, trying to make it. It's hard to trust him, but it's worth it. And just keep your eyes on him, guys. You guys will make it through. I will make it through. Everyone, we got this. The world will pull through, and at the end of the day, what was it saying? Every knee will bow to the Lord. So keep the faith, guys. That is the true how do I say it? Slang, not slang. The true, I don't know where I was heading with that. Just keep the faith, guys. Keep the faith. I love you guys. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll be back next time. Bye.